On Monday morning, we departed from Brisbane at 6:30 to a flight in the Northern Territory. We landed at an airport really close to Uluru. In fact, when we were flying, we could almost see the rock. And we arrived there around 10:30. Alright, so we got a rental car from the airport, and then we drove to our resort. But when we were driving, we saw Uluru and took photos of it. This is our resort, which was called Sails in the Desert, which we were driving to from the airport. We checked into our resort, but our room wasn't ready, so we decided to do a short walk through Katajuda. So when we went back to the car, we took a long-range photo of Katajuda, which is what you can see now. After that walk, we did another short walk. Now, in the evening, we did the Fields of Light, which was a light display. It took a group of people 5 weeks to make it, and it was beautiful. Especially the sunset in the outback was spectacular. In the morning, we woke up at 4:30 and we rode on camels to see the sunrise.
My name is Jeff.
So after the camel tours, we had breakfast. I had an English breakfast, and shortly after, we went to walk around Uluru. Now the following images are me in front of Uluru and patterns carved into Uluru. Now this is not man-made, this is naturally made, I believe. When we were walking, we also had my grandma and her friend called Sandra. Now, without my grandma, I wouldn't have experienced this trip, so I really want to thank her for that. It was an epic trip. The walk was supposed to take 3.5 hours. However, I'm pretty sure, it turned out to be 4.5 hours. But it felt like 6 hours, to be honest. Later that afternoon, we caught a bus ride to a sand dune which overlooked Uluru and Katajuda. Then we had a buffet-like dinner in the middle of the desert. It was very nice. And later that night, all the lights turned off and we got to see the stars, and we had a tour of the stars. Unfortunately, that night it wasn't that clear, so we didn't get to see much of the outlines of the stars, but it was a pretty good night. And after the dinner, everyone got horrendously drunk. And on their way back to our resort, we all sang on the bus trip. The ladies of the harem of the quarter counter. So we had an early breakfast, and then we went on to do the long walk at Katajuda. Now this is the hardest rock out at Ayers Rock. But however, I didn't find it extremely hard, but it helps I had walking poles. Now, when we went back, it was still very hot, but we relaxed around the hotel, went in a pool, and later on that night went to a cafe which I had spaghetti, my favorite. So straight in the morning, we woke up, had breakfast, and packed our bags, because today was the day we fly back to Brisbane. Now this is a photo of me sitting out my resort, saying goodbye to it, because it was a really good resort. However, when we went to the airport, there was a power outage. In fact, we found out that there was a power outage over the night of the whole Northern Territory, but the hotels stabilized it, and of course the airport didn't. So we waited there for 3 hours and it was pretty hot, but we had some didgeridoo entertainment, but then we finally went on our flight. After a surprisingly short flight, because the one we took to Northern Territory took forever, but when we landed on the new runway in Brisbane. It was pretty good. Like, there's nothing much to say about runway, but now we're back into Queensland, and yeah, so I hope you enjoyed my video. I hope you enjoyed my trip. It was a really amazing trip, and I couldn't do it without my grandma. So she's awesome. But don't forget to like and subscribe, and yeah, see you next time.